Up in the air. Try again.
Have you heard from Vicki?
I've not.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's now 7:30. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Will, face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vicki. There she is.
Does she have to do the pledge by herself?
Yes, she does.
I did. I was back. Good.
Can anyone verify that?
We're all looking this way.
You saw me.
Okay, this is 2 months in a row we've got everybody here.
Dedicated board.
All right, hopefully you've all received your consent agenda. Any questions or comments? I hear a motion to approve the agenda.
I move. I'll second his. He
It's
moved
been
it.
moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Public comments. I don't see anyone here. So we'll move on. Does that mean we're doing a good job or they don't just don't?
Or it's too early.
It's
I
too
don't know.
early.
There's some
Too
options.
early, too cold.
We'll have Shannon do a survey, find out.
Okay. We'll move right along. Update from Lana Duvall, President.
All right, good morning, everybody. Prospect 1124 is another entertainment prospect that we're working with, and they're local entrepreneurs, and they are making great progress on their business planning and financing package, and we'll continue to work with them. We just got some updated information from them yesterday, and Grant is going through all of the stuff they've submitted and getting them all lined out. So hopefully we'll keep them moving forward and be able to announce another project before too long. On our commercial and industrial, we've had a lot of activity on many of those, and we have some really good conversations going with some private landowners who are getting some pretty good activity on commercial purchases right now, so that's very exciting to see that coming around. I think the interest rates have absolutely made a difference for folks and kind of gotten some confidence going in the market, so that's a good thing. On the light industrial project, we have had some activity here, and we have some follow-up meetings tomorrow, actually, with one of those prospects as well. And we go back all the way to August of 2023, and we can now tell you that was Icon Cinema. So that was very exciting. You're going to see a fun report from Shannon where you can see kind of how the reaction to that project. But this has been a fun project for us to work on. We actually met them originally in January of 2023. Started those conversations and then elevated them to a prospect, which means that we were far enough along in the process that we felt pretty confident that they were serious about the community. So pretty exciting when those long projects come to fruition. Any questions? I should have asked that. Are there any questions about Icon and the theater and the theater and arcade and all of that? So just to make sure everybody understands, that did go through for a memorandum of understanding with the City Commission, saying that they would authorize a TIF, a tax increment finance district, to help with getting the utilities to the site. TIFs can be used for pretty much anything horizontal. So think water lines, sewer lines, sidewalks, roads, street lights, all of those types of things can be incorporated into a TIF. It allows the project to get a portion of the property tax paid rebated back to them to recoup those costs for infrastructure that most of which becomes public infrastructure. So it's an opportunity to put the burden of that infrastructure on the project versus having that infrastructure built by the municipality or the county if it were out in the county. So, and then they're also going to pursue a CID, a community improvement district, which allows them to charge additional sales tax only on their project, and then they can recoup that additional sales tax to help cover other construction costs. CIDs are pretty wide open, so they allow them to recoup vertical construction costs as well. So those are the two big tools that we had to get through with the city before we could get the project committed with their bankers. So we're very excited.
Sales tax work?
How long?
How long does it go?
Yeah, it can go 22 years or until the project is completely repaid. So they have eligible expenses that they have to submit, and so long as there's still eligible expenses out there, they can continue to collect the tax.
They can
But
redo it again or not?
no. Well, you certainly could do another, but it would be a whole new process. Each CID is only usable for that long.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Read the article and the developer gave you a big compliment when he was talking about.
I
first time
didn't
he-
read the article, but that's nice. I didn't, I'm sorry. I
But
shared it.
I guess you were at some convention or something, and you said he he wasn't even really listening to you, and then you mentioned how big our trade area is, and he said that grabbed his attention. So, big compliment to you.
Oh, that's very nice. I'm glad he said that. That's nice. Yeah, we were in Dallas at the International Shopping Center Conference that we go to down there.
I don't remember, will that be a freestanding building? So it's not dependent on any other?
It is not. It is its own building. Yeah, it'll be pretty cool. Be very unique for the region. It'll have right now he's planning for two. And I can't even remember how they're described. It's similar to an IMAX.
Large format,
Say that again.
large format, something or other.
Something or other. That's what it's called. That's what it's called. And then it has, the really nice seats and recliners and all that. And then it will have an arcade attached to it with the virtual reality arcade games and that type of stuff. And then duck pin bowling, and house an outdoor space where they can play movies on an outdoor screen where you can gather outside and watch a movie as well. So it ought to be a really, really fun project for the region.
Will the outdoor screen be an IMAX type also? No, just a
Still
regular.
high-tech, high
Yeah, high
resolution.
def, yeah. Okay.
When do they anticipate it being done?
Well, we hope to get started on construction right after the first of the year. So hopefully, he's working on site plans, and Steve has been going back and forth with their engineering team and their architectural team to get them all the stuff they need for the site. The utilities have already been engaged, and we have most of a plan on how we get everything out to it. It is what we would consider a completely green site. There is no infrastructure to it at this time. Even Highway 156 that currently runs in front of it will become Kansas Avenue, obviously. It'll be an extension off of Kansas Avenue. So it is as much a greenfield site as you can possibly get. But that's just where we are right now. We have significant growth going that direction, and we're going to continue to see good things happen going to the northeast. The city commission yesterday approved doing a regional traffic impact study out there, because we just have multiple projects kind of moving all at the same time, and it's everything. We have some housing, we have the second phase of Star Bond that'll be the baseball, softball, soccer fields, this project, and then we have some additional housing projects that are looking at the area, and a couple of other commercial projects that are looking at the area. So it just kind of made sense to do one big study and say, okay, all of these intersections are going to be impacted. This section of what was Highway 156 is going to be impacted. what do we need to do kind of globally to address the traffic needs. So it's going to be exciting. Lots of good stuff there. On housing projects, we have had several multifamily reach outs, which is awesome. We, as we've said to you guys a lot, with 4,000 units needed by 2030, which is really close now, we're not going to get there with single family. Vicki has been beating Dave out the door and telling him he's got to go build more, but it's just one guy can't do enough, right? So multifamily is going to have to happen. And to that end, I am testifying today. I was asked by Representative Sean Tarwater, who is, he's the chairman of the Commerce Committee, so I've worked with him quite a bit on other projects. And he asked me to testify on their special committee on available and affordable housing. So they started that yesterday. They had a half a day of testimony yesterday, and then I'll testify today at 12:30 to that committee. Fortunately, they were able to accommodate me virtually, so I don't have to make a rush drive to Topeka when we're done here. But they had all of the state agencies that are related to housing and the Builders Association, Kansas Builders Association. Sean Miller is one of them that's testifying. And then I'm the only economic developer that's testifying to him, but that's part of what we're going to talk to him about. My testimony is really about how can we get creative to solve some of these housing challenges that we have. So hopefully we get some traction on some things. They've certainly tried a lot of different things at the state level to address housing, but I think what we have found is that locally we've come up with some pretty creative solutions. We just need that legislative support to push some of those solutions forward. So I think we did get Randall Estates. The county did accept their infrastructure. As you can see, that project was titled 522, which means we started that in May of 2022. And he started construction pretty shortly after that. He was able to move pretty quickly on getting his contractors in place for that, and they just did accept the infrastructure, and which means they can now start building homes out there. So. And then Country Acres, the county is still working on accepting that infrastructure. It's all been put in, it's all been constructed, but the county has not accepted that infrastructure yet, so hopefully it won't be too much longer. Hunter's Glen, we did do, I'm sorry.
On Randall Estates, how does that affect his RHID?
It slows the RHID. It slows the ability to capitalize on the RHID. The RHID is dependent on getting houses completed and paying property taxes. So unfortunately, any time that isn't usable during the RHID term for actual construction of tax-bearing homes is a detriment to the project. We're fortunate in this one that it was small, a smaller RHID. It's only 16 lots, but hopefully it can build out quickly now, and he'll still be able to recoup at least the majority of his infrastructure. But it is absolutely a hindrance when they're not able to get going right away on actual vertical construction of homes.
We need to do better.
On Hunter's Glen, we did, I think I told you guys last month that the building that will house the community gathering space and potentially a childcare facility, that building got approved in the last round of funding for that project. So he's been working on site plans and getting everything through neighborhood development office with that, but we're excited to see that coming to fruition. And it was pretty fun. I came in from that direction on Sunday, and there were vehicles parked in front of almost every unit that's out there now. So it's exciting to see that getting utilized. So. And I think lots of meetings, lots of stuff that's been going on. Continue to have really good conversations on higher education, and I think we're gonna get some additional building trades programming going in the near future, as well as some additional agricultural projects that we're working on. some feedlot certifications, potentially dairy certifications that will go along with that as well, and some agronomy stuff. So really excited about the opportunities we have to work with, of course, Garden City Community College, but also Newman University, and K-State's coming to the table with some pretty cool programming right now. So. And then I will say the statewide SBDC, Small Business Development Center, I was on that search committee last summer, if you remember, and we weren't able to make a hire out of the candidate pool that we got at that time. So they restarted that project, asked if I could serve again on that committee. So thankfully, this time we had great applicants, and actually were able to interview 5 of them that were fully qualified to the standards we had set, and it was tough to narrow that down to the final 2. So it has been narrowed down. They'll be visiting the Fort Hays campus, and the final decision will get made. So we should have a new SBDC director for the state in place before the end of the year, hopefully. Fingers crossed. And then the state chamber, Alan Cobb is the president of the state chamber, and Shannon and I had a meeting with him, went through some of our updates and tax analysis that we've shown to you guys recently. That meeting went really well. It was good for them to see a community that's measuring the way we're measuring, so they could kind of see what policies have worked and which ones haven't. And then we are doing a virtual meeting they have hired an economist who's going to meet with the different regions of the state. So we're doing a discussion with them. And we're pretty excited about that. I think that'll be really good.
Will Shannon be in that meeting? Because that would be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, he was in the last one, and it was interesting too. It was really good. Yeah. So again, lots of good stuff going on. I think we're gonna scream through the end of the year, and then be ready to hit the ground running, hopefully in January. I did get the annual meeting scheduled for Thursday, January 23rd. The regular meeting will begin at 10 o'clock that morning in the endowment room, and then the annual meeting will begin at 11:30. And that is all I have for you. Did you get that down? I took it back to it in case you needed it.
It's January 23rd.
Thursday, January 23rd. Regular meeting at 10, annual meeting at 11:30.
I have just a comment for you. So on the news this morning on KSN, they were interviewing, I believe she was a real estate agent in the Kansas City area. And she was talking about, excuse me, doing a project. She did 2 houses, attainable houses. I think they misspoke. They said 1,400 square feet, but they were way smaller than that. They're probably around 1,000 square feet, maybe a little under, utilizing a land bank. And that reminded me that we attempted that back when Caleb was here. Any possibility of anything like that we could maybe initiate, or?
Well, we can certainly revisit it. We ran into a lot of hurdles the last time we went through that process, but it's certainly worth revisiting, I'm sure. Yeah.
I don't know that we have a lot.
Yeah, one of the
area.
programs that I'm talking about today that we've designed locally is kind of similar to that, but takes some of the regulatory burdens away. So stay tuned.
Well, I'll leave that up to you. I know you're,
Well, Matt and I had worked on that a lot back in the day, so yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Lana? Thank you, Lana. We'll move on to Mr. Cottrell, Special Projects Director.
Good morning.
Morning.
Happy Future Teachers of America Day.
Aw.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's also Name Your PC Day. When we were getting our first network kind of established between Jim Nevillett's planning department and my engineering department, we were getting our first attempt at email. And we dedicated a computer for email because we're certain how people could access our stuff, so. Everything else we had in the building were the old XTs, so they were like maybe 286, 386 processors. And down in the basement, we had an old XT. Yeah, I said, will this work for the email? And the guy said, Pat Howard said, yeah, sure. So I bring it up and I set it down and set it over on the desk. And one of the people in the office says, God, that's an old dinosaur. And I said, yep, and we're gonna call it Sinclair. Think about it. Thank you. I'm here all week. Twice on Saturday. Pay back your parents' day. Yeah, right. For those of you that still have parents. And National Absurdity Day. So I'm going to celebrate that one to the hilt. Got 2 RFPs since the last meeting from the Department of Commerce. First one needed a very, very large existing building, and the second one needed direct airfield access to at an airport with a longer runway than what we have. So. But we are going to be putting some information together on potential industrial opportunities, both on the airfield and off at Garden City Regional, and get that off to Commerce. One of their industrial recruiters, I think Peter's in Chicago or Los Angeles, I don't know where, is going to be talking with some aerospace and aviation people that might be able to use those shorter runways and facilities, maybe some helicopter vertical takeoff type things. So we'll see what comes out of that. We worked on a concept up at the Western Kansas corridor that someday we might be able to talk about. Commercial side, I continue working on commercial development concepts. I go to work and I say, well, what if I move this over here and that over there? And so I'm on about version 12,000 on one of them. So, as Lana mentioned, at the November 5th City Commission meeting, they approved the MOU on the Icon Cinema project. We continue helping with them move through all of the processes necessary to get the project built and open. At yesterday's commission meeting, they approved a resolution setting a public hearing for another community improvement district at 401 East Kansas. That's the little 3-bay commercial building just to the west side of Rupp's Tire. Got an ice cream shop, beauty salon.
A frozen yogurt. That's not ice cream. I know ice cream.
Excuse me, I believe the resolution just said ice cream. But one of them, frozen things. Premium things.
And a beauty salon, and what was the other?
And it's an existing business in town that they're wholesale import sales, but they want to open a retail spot, so they'll be in one of the 3 bays there. So that's moving along. And then, as Lana mentioned, got another activity, family entertainment center thing that we're working on that is awful close to getting off the ground, at least running on through all the governmental processes. So, as Lana mentioned, we've had a lot of talks with multifamily developers. which is out of state, but is quite interested in Garden City. Been trying to find pieces of property that a certain housing contractor could acquire and keep himself busy for a couple of years, building at least 20 years. So someday I may find the right spot for him. Lana said county finally accepted Randall Estates infrastructure. So, and then county jail committee got some additional information from their consultant. They were at least able to tell me that the jail building needs to be 50,500 square feet. That's all I know. I don't know lengths, widths, or whatever, so I kind of tweaked my building. It's still just a basic rectangle on a chunk of property. And evaluated a sixth site that seems to have everybody's thinking that might be the best place for it. They didn't want to have anything up on a major entrance into town like on Taylor. Didn't think anything down at the fairgrounds or the west end of the 3I or the exhibition area would work. So that's still on moving, the slow, medium speed. We help when we get past. That's all I have.
Any questions for Steve? Thank you, sir. Next up, we'll hear from Scott Oss, Communications Director.
Good morning. So this is the Icon Cinema episode for those watching at home. The website and all the social media outlets blew up because of Icon Cinema, the story and all our posts. Greater Garden City had 4,700 views. That was up, about 4,000 of those views are just Icon Cinema story. The Facebook page blew up, again, just because of Icon. You can see that. You can see on the Journal, their posts reached 89,000 people. Last look, it had 500 comments, 1,200 shares, and 1,500 likes. Twitter jumped up 900% in impressions because of Icon Cinema's news. Some of the other stuff that people looked at included some awards going on at the schools. The science teacher was nominated for Kansas Teacher of the Year. There was also the high school's, I can't remember her first name, but Ms. Sotelo won the Outstanding Educator Award for her work with autistic kids. And some other stuff. Steve Morris won a Community Betterment Award. There was an alumni spotlight at the college, and Loretta Schultz conference room was named a couple months ago. And we had some Western Kansas Community Foundation grant awards announced. So all in all, it was pretty much, this month was just about Icon. And to answer Janet's question, the CEO said he was shooting for a Christmas present next year for opening. So. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any further questions for Scott? Okay, thank you, Scott. Up next, Grant Lindenberger, Business Development.
Good morning.
Morning.
Client 02241, service. This client's still waiting on a EIN so that they can receive the funding they were awarded. Client 06241, restaurant. Last I talked about this client, they were waiting on the bank as they tried to continue with their business plan after a potential investor backed out. During this wait, this client was able to find a new potential partner that could significantly help with startup costs. I'm now helping adjust the business plan to include this partner. Currently, this new partner is gathering necessary documents to be in the bank, to bring to the bank in addition to an updated business plan. Client 09242, this client has completed a PowerPoint presentation and is working to schedule a meeting with a potential third-party partner These negotiations will determine the next direction for this client. Client 104-242 is food service entertainment. I'm currently helping this client gather and fill out all the necessary information to complete their Kansas liquor license application. Client 11-24-1, this is the entertainment. This is what Lon and Steve were talking about earlier. They're bringing a unique kid-focused needed piece of entertainment to Garden City with no competition within 200 miles. They came to us looking for help with finding a location for them. We've helped direct them to a suitable location, and I've got them started on completing their written business plan and financial workbook. They have done a great job at expediency, and they are now ready to present to a bank for help with funding on startup costs. Total SBDC clients that I have right now is 39. And then we have YEC coming up again next year, Youth Entrepreneur Challenge. Ember Dorch and Leandro Rodriguez will be co-hosting that event with me. The current date that we have scheduled right now is Wednesday, March 12th. More information will be brought forward as time gets closer. I'm going to be searching for judges again for this event, so if there's anyone that wants to volunteer or has anyone in mind, just follow up with me. That's all I have for you.
What's the ages on the youth
It's high school.
high school?
Yeah. And it'll be mainly from one class that Ember Dorch teaches at the high school, but like Holcomb students would be welcome to participate.
Grant, on your first one, 02-24-1, how long does it take to get an EIN?
Very, I don't know the exact time, but it shouldn't take too long. There's been a hang up.
When
that
I
have
applied,
not
it was
gotten.
like
It
instantaneous.
normally is instant,
Yeah.
and theirs got hung up, and we've gone through the Senate office, and we are trying very hard to get that out to them. And unfortunately, once the name is in the system and the number hasn't been issued, it apparently is a pretty big deal. So. If nothing else, I'll drive up to DC and knock on the door of the office where they issue them. I don't know.
Last I heard, I believe there was possible like duplication of the EIN. I'm like, yeah. So.
Yeah. Who knew?
Right.
Any further questions for Grant?
I don't know if this would be to you, but last week I went to eat at a food truck, and every time I've eaten at a food truck, it's like $13, $14. It's never cents. Do they pay sales tax?
Yes, yes. So typically what they will do, because they don't have access to safes and cash management the way that you do in a brick and mortar building, is they price everything with the tax included, much like when you buy a ticket at the movie theater. It's a set price of $12 or whatever. The sales tax is included in that price. Yes, so they're still collecting it. They're just trying to keep with round numbers so that they don't have to carry a bunch of change around.
I kind of figured that, but I was hoping they were paying sales tax.
Yes, they absolutely are.
Okay, thank you, Grant.
Thank you.
Up next, Shannon Dick, Director of Analytics.
Good morning. We'll keep with the theme of Icon Cinemas. It actually is really nice when you get some project like this, where you can kind of go reevaluate and reconfirm some of the stuff we've done. So what we did, we were able to, using the social media posts and how well they did, we can use that to measure the trade area. And so this is from before. This is just a reminder. And we can't get this level of detail from Facebook anymore. But this is how we did our initial measurement of trade area. So you can see what percentage of each of the areas around participated in our trade area. So you can see like Colby participates about 68% of the population participates in trade area. Lamar is 33%. Liberal is like almost 90%, and so forth. So this is the kind of stuff we had before, which turned into, you've seen this. We have the map and we have the trade area population and all that stuff, so that's where we turned this into. But then if we get to the next slide, now we use Placer, which tells us, and it was really impressive because Placer was saying there's 282,000 people in our trade area, and we use social media, there's 282,000 people in the trade area, so it's really neat. So what's really nice about this Facebook post that we had, which I hope was the next slide. Yep. So this is the one that we had for Icon. And I mean, it's our small thing, and again, all of you should go read Scott's article because it's really good. It's a good article, but then also Stetson has some really good things to say about our organization. So it's worth going there, and if you, the top comment that's pinned on this Facebook post has that article in there. But so this article got enough traction that we can go back and kind of reconfirm that everything is still working like before. And so when you go look at this data, I went through, and this is the locations of the most recent 100 shares where I could actually track their location, and they weren't part of Finney County. That's why, I mean, if you just look at Finney County, there's a lot there. So this kind of gives us another idea about where our trade area is. One thing that's really interesting about this post, everything in the middle, Dodge City to Springfield, Colorado, to Scott, to down in Liberal area, that's all pretty much our general thing. What was interesting about this was how far east this actually went. So having hits up in Hayes and Great Bend and Greensburg and even down in Woodward, Oklahoma. We usually get some, but not usually when we talk we're talking about 1% of our outside of the area posts. This one really moved to the east, which kind of suggests that maybe our trade area is growing a little bit in that direction that we didn't see a couple of years ago. So if we go and look at our data now, so if I go use the same formulas as we got before, that was confirmed we were about 300,000 off the Facebook. If we go look at Shulman Crossing right now, they're saying about 303,000. So we do see that growth. And again, we didn't grow in population. I mean, we did grow some, but not that much population. So it has to show that our trade area whole is expanding. And from what we see in this, it might be expanding out to the east. Shulman Crossing really grew our trade area to the north. We didn't really have the Colby, all those cities up in that area. Once we got Shulman Crossing built, that area really added. We might see with Icon Cinema, we might be growing some of that trade area. More people from Great Bend and that area deciding to come down this way. So that's good news. The other good news that we have when we have a Facebook post like this is we can go track people's comments and what they say when they share. And when we're talking about social media, the most important things that we get out of this is when people share and they bring the message of Garden City and what's happening in Garden City to their friends and families, especially if they're not in Garden City. So this is some of the comments that people had when they shared the post, or they were commenting on somebody else who shared the post, and then roughly where that location was from. I mean, so good things about being really excited. Yeah, people in Liberal saying it's time to move back. People in Dodge City said, let's move to Garden City. But there's also good things like our movie night, people at Dodge City, our movie nights just got better. And we're talking about people planning stuff with their families in a different community coming here. We have people up northwest that said, this is just one more reason that makes Southwest Kansas a great place to live. These people are more than 100 miles away, talking about an Icon Cinema project in Garden City, saying this is making Southwest Kansas a great place to live. So these are the kinds of things that are really good to see because we can really measure the temperature of not just what we're doing, but how people are feeling about that. Across the board, this was well received. The only negative comments we saw was in some of the larger communities, the two larger communities that were disappointed that their cities were not moving at the same rate forward that Garden City was. At the same time, even one of them said, it doesn't matter, we'll just go to Garden City anyway. So good stuff out of there. Then the other thing that I just thought, just because I was digging into placer data, and something that's just really neat when we can look at these kind of trends. This is TA, where Black Bear Diner is, Sbarro's, Dunkin'. This is all the way back to 2018, daily data. And you can see when we put in Sbarro and Dunkin', that's this first jump right here. So we have what it was in the past, Dunkin' and Sbarro, and then Black Bear. Each time almost doubled the traffic before. So it's really neat to be able to measure and see how these sorts of things are impacting. And again, using the old Facebook methods, which we used to do, which it almost took me 2 days to do all the Facebook where I was tracking the likes, getting the comments, seeing because I have to click on each one and then see where they're from. And click on each one. So if I'm doing this 1,000 times, it takes a couple days. Now we can go to Placer and just pull up the data within less than a minute, and we get all this stuff. But it's also good that we're still matching up. The old way, which was based off of the old trade whole analysis that cost more than $100,000 to do, to the social media way, which then leads into the placer, and they're all lining up. So good stuff and fun stuff. So,
Stuart, did you have a
What was that
question?
little jump that occurred? I can't read the date, July of
July, and that's going to be like July of like 2019.
19.
I don't know. Their busiest date ever isn't even on here. It's a couple of months back. And it's one of those things where you just go back and try to figure out what's going on. So I don't know. Maybe there was some car show or something like that up there.
Okay.
But that's
Go back a couple of slides,
Yep.
if you would. Next, what's Shulman Crossing full mean? What does that mean?
That is, so when Placer themselves, so they were using Shulman Crossing as an example, as a demo for us.
Okay.
When they did it, they only did it on the east side of LaRue. They didn't include the west side of LaRue, so I drew my own boundary of what that full is. And now, this is an old boundary, but I wanted to do apples to apples comparison from before. So they even have a new boundary that has a new classification. But this was the old way that I was measuring it. There's a new way that doesn't even use Shulman Crossing full anymore. So this is a historical way that I was doing that translation between the old study, the Facebook post, and the social media tracking, and this. So I have to do more things than just do this. So it's all streamlined even more than what you can see
And the
here.
visit frequency, what is that measuring?
That means each person, so visits is in this time period, how many visits they have. There's even more stuff in this. I make it sound like you just go pull it up. I still have to do some translation to make it all work
Okay.
right. But the visits is how many people were in this time period. The visitors is how many individual people, different people. And the visit frequency is during that time period that we have, on average, how many times did each person, each of those visitors, visit that area. So on average over this time period, we had about, each person visited Shulman Crossing about 7 times.
And
They were
Shannon,
there
this
55
is,
minutes.
this is from March 1st to November 16th of this year?
Yes. How much do you want me to go into why I picked those dates? I will just tell you that to make this work, to talk about trade area, we can't do a full year, but you don't want to do the less than that to make the numbers be the actual true trade area. Because we're using Shulman Crossing as a proxy for all of Garden State's trade area. If you're going to Kohl's, you don't actually do it. So when we're talking about the whole trade area, I'm taking a fraction of a whole year at a specific location and using that as our translation to make it into what's happening in the whole region. Because I can't draw a region big enough, so I have to use a subset.
So that makes these numbers even more impressive.
Yes, this is
Yeah,
just a
yeah.
partial year.
Yeah, this is just partial use, but there's a lot more to it. If anybody wants to talk about it, people on Facebook and stuff like that that are watching this meeting, they probably don't care that much about it. A whole bunch of things that we go through to make sure that we're slicing out the right data to be able to use it as a
proxy for the
as a true
entire.
proxy for our trade area. So.
Questions for Shannon?
So for those who call the office or stop me outside and say, why is there so much traffic in town? Well, this is why. This is why. Folks are busy doing business in our community. What a blessing.
And more business over the last couple of years.
Okay, thank you, Shannon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good information. Okay, new business.
No, sir.
Okay, old business.
No, sir.
Upcoming events,
Annual meeting,
January 23rd.
January 23rd, 2025. Which means we will then be down to 5 years to build all of the housing we need, in case anybody's keeping track.
Okay, future meeting dates, everybody's got those on their calendar, hopefully. We have a need for executive session,
We do.
okay. How long?
I would anticipate 30 minutes.
Okay. Okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn our regular meeting?
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone, staff, visitors. See you guys up there.